Now that we have the surface area formula or equation, we got to remember that the top and bottom are 5 cents per square centimeter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by 5, and then it says 3 cents for the side material. Multiply that by 3. Now, what this will do will give me my answer in cents. It will not give me my actual answer in dollars. So once I find it, I have to divide by 100 to get my dollar value. So the total cost is going to equal 10 pi r squared plus 6 pi r h, and that will give me my cost in cents. Okay. Now, I can't graph this and find the minimum until I have one variable, which means I've got to replace my h value. So to replace my h value, I have h equals 1,250 divided by pi r squared. I got that from my area formula. Okay. Let's divide both sides by pi r squared to get h by itself. If they give you a volume, you're going to end up solving volume for a variable. If they give you an area, you're going to end up solving area for a variable. So whichever number they give you, you're going to use that to solve for h, or to solve for r, or to solve for length or something, okay? So I'm going to have my cost equals 10 pi r squared plus 6 pi r times 1,250 divided by pi r squared. Now, you don't have to simplify that if you don't want to. However, that's a really easy simplification. I know that the pi will cancel out with the pi, the r will cancel out with the squared, and then I know that 6 times 1250 is 7,500, just off the top of my head. And by that I mean there's a calculator sitting right here next to me. So 10 pi r squared plus 7,500 divided by r. That's my cost equation. I've got to find where that is the minimum. So I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to type in that equation. So the equation was 10 pi r squared, now we're using x for r, plus 7,500 divided by r. Okay. Now, if you're home, one trick, if you have a touch screen, if you pinch on the y-axis and pull them together, it will shrink just the y-axis, not the x, which makes it easier sometimes to find minimums a little more quickly. Okay. And so I get x equals 4.924 and y equals $2,284, or sorry, 2,284.86. Okay. Now, this x is actually my r value. That's my radius. This is actually my cost in cents. So in dollars, that's going to be $22.85 if you round it like you're supposed to. Okay. And then if I want to find my height, I can go back over here and just plug in my radius. 1,250 divided by pi times 4.924 squared. 1,250 divided by pi, so by 4.924 squared gives me 16.41. So I've got my height, I've got my radius, and I have my minimum cost, which is actually $22.85. Okay. Lastly, we're looking at a distance problem. Find the point on y equals x cubed closest to the point 4, -1. Now, if I draw like a quick graph here, I know x cubed looks something kind of like this. And 4, -1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, it's somewhere over here, okay? So I'm figuring out where in this line or graph is closest to that point. Now, we're finding the closest, which means the shortest distance. So the distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Now we got to get rid of all these x's and y's and replace them as best we can. Now I do know that 4,1 is an x and a y. I'm going to call that x1, y1. So I'm going to have the square root of something minus 4 squared plus something minus negative 1. So it becomes plus 1 squared. Then I know I've got an x2 and a y2. Okay, well, actually, the x2 is just x. That's just an x value. But the y value is what I find interesting. Okay, the y here, this would be y, but we know what y is equal to. Y equals x cubed. So I'm going to take that y out of there, and I'm going to replace it with x cubed. And so that's my distance, and I want to minimize it. So we can graph the square root of x minus 4 squared plus y, not y. We replaced it with x cubed. Now, I'm going to be lazy. That's x times x times x, x cubed, plus 1 squared. Okay. And now to look at that, God knows how that square root did it. Say lovey. So I'm going to be lazy again. And I'm going to see if I can do it to the 1/2 power. That's a square root. Okay. Now I'm going to go back home. And again, just a reminder, a 1/2 power is a square root. And there's my minimum. 0.824, 3.538. So x equals 0.824, y equals 3.538. Now, this is not your point. Y is actually your distance. So the minimum distance that you can get, the closest you can get between those two, the graph and the point, is 3.53 cells away. Now this is my x, and the way I find my y is I know y equals x cubed. So 0.824 cubed is going to give me 0.559. So this is my actual y value. So the point is going to be 0.824, 0.559. Okay. So final answer. That is the closest point to 4, -1, and that is how far apart they will be. Is 3.538. When you answer the questions, please be careful. Pay attention and make sure you answer what they're asking, because sometimes they'll ask for a point, sometimes they'll ask for the distance, sometimes they may just ask for an x value. So be sure you pay attention. And good luck.